Let's jump into the June astrology and aromatherapy report. Hi, I'm Sheridan Semple, and I am an astrologer and an aromatherapist. All right, so let's see. Okay, June is packed with astrological happenings. I got my little notes here. So first off, let's talk about the sky viewing. So Jupiter and Saturn are in the morning sky, some like very early morning. Venus is still in the evening sky. Mars is in the evening sky. Venus is super bright. So as soon as you see the sun go down and the first star, right, planet that lights up, that's Venus. And then let's see what else is starting to happen. Okay, Sagittarius full moon, June 3rd or 4th, depending upon your location, but here in the US, June 3rd. And so the full moon in Sagittarius is opposite the Gemini sun, and we have the full moon. And the full moon brings this really expansive energy with, it kind of does just in general, but in Sagittarius especially, because Sagittarius is that spiritual quest sign. The full moon can be such a spiritual experience, all of that, right? So I always like to say for the full moon, just celebrate something about yourself. That's your ceremony, right? Because if we were living on our ancestral lands with our people, we would build a bonfire and the priestesses would hold ceremony for us. And that's what we would do. We would celebrate, right? Celebrate all of that light, that illumination, instead of always having this kind of focus in our more modern time of releasing something at the full moon. I just feel like we're doing so much all the time. So use the full moon, give yourself a little pat on the back, and you could use that Sagittarian energy to kind of drop into those bigger truths for yourself, right? The bigger truth of something to celebrate about yourself that's uniquely you. Eucalyptus blue gum is an awesome Sagittarius essence because it helps us speak our truth through our throat, right? Okay, so it helps us kind of clear away misperceptions and things like that so we can see the truth. Then on June 5th, Venus enters Leo, which is a big deal because I'm a big Venus person, teaching with Venus Alchemy with Kaylin Castell, the brilliant, amazing Kaylin Castell. And this is a big deal because Venus is going to have a retrograde cycle in Leo. So she's going to move into Leo on June 5th and stay there until October. So that's a really long time for Venus to be in a sign. That only happens when Venus does a retrograde cycle through that sign. So we're going to finish off this like 19-month Capricorn Venus cycle, and we're going to start a brand new Venus cycle in Leo, right? So when Venus moves into Leo, it's sort of like this time, this foreshadowing, this kind of energy of all this Leo stuff that's going to start happening around our divine feminine expression. And so Leo is that sign that's learning its own divinity. It's learning about creativity and creatorship, as well as that deep self-love that comes if we know we are the divine incarnate. So that's energy that is becoming available to us within that divine feminine expression, that Venus expression. Lang Lang is an amazing essential oil for Leo because it's a big heart opener. It helps us to stay with things in our hearts. It's very healing for our hearts. So lots of Leo type of energy for that. Pluto is going to re-enter Capricorn on June 11th. So Pluto is moved into Aquarius, which so far it just seems like is made things really accelerated is what I've been experiencing. Here we are. It's been like this Taurus season and there's all this stuff in Taurus, but things are moving so quickly. And part of that could be some of the other big changes that have happened as well. But yeah, that's what I'm going with so far on that one. So Pluto is retrograde, is going to go back into Capricorn. So we still get time to, look at and keep addressing like all the structures and things in our real world, the Capricornian kind of aspects of life. We get to still keep looking at what needs that healing, composting, transformation, right? Because obviously our systems and structures are not working very well. So I like that we get this last kind of time in Pluto to take a deeper dive, continue that deeper dive, just at least from the awareness perspective. Then we have the Gemini new moon, and Saturn goes retrograde on June 17th. So the moon meets up with the sun in Gemini, and we have all of this like Gemini new moon energy for setting our intentions, doing our new moon ceremonies. Gemini is that playful, youthful, fun, like out of the box kind of sign, but it is in service to spirit sign. So it does have that bigger mission and purpose with its fun and playfulness, which really is to get us out of the boxes that we keep ourselves in so tightly. So I think that's a beautiful energy for the new moon, for setting the intention for the month of how do we kind of get out of our box to keep moving ourselves forward in our goals and what we're trying to do while Saturn goes retrograde. So Saturn is going to move back through that part of the sky it's just come from. Saturn is a very middle world type of planet. So it's very much, it's more of kind of like it's a planet that's more about like boxing things in that make it start to feel uncomfortable. So we want to break out of the box. So I feel like this Gemini new moon, those two energies seem conflicting, but they have the same kind of goal and purpose. So that's a great thing to drop into for this new moon. Douglas fir is an amazing essence for Gemini because it's not even a real fir. It's a pseudotsuga. So it's this like kind of trickster sort of energy. It's playful. It's fun. That's a great one to use to drop into this Gemini new moon energy. And if you are here locally in the Aspen, Colorado, Carbondale, Colorado area, join me in person for a new moon ceremony at True Nature Healing Arts. All right, on Thursday, June 15th, a couple of days before that new moon, we'll be leading into it. Let's see. Okay, then we have the June solstice, right? Here we go. So we're having a whole seasonal change here at the June solstice on June 21st. And that is when Venus enters the crown chakra. So every month when the little waxing crescent moon meets with Venus in the sky, which is a beautiful sight to see. So definitely recommend checking that out on June 21st. That signals us moving into a different chakra for the month in the divine feminine expression, Venus, right? So at this June solstice, it's on the solstice that we move into the crown chakra because we're moving towards the end of the Venus cycle. So that's something that you could bring into your new moon intention setting, something about what are you reclaiming and your spiritual connections, all of that crown chakra type stuff. Magnolia blossom, I'll just say, because when the sun moves into Cancer, that's the June solstice. Magnolia blossom is an amazing essence for Cancer. It just wraps us in this like warm, velvety, that big petal embrace, that nurturing, nourishing, providing essence. It's this subtle, floral, like lovely Cancer essential oil. Okay, last thing we'll just throw out there. I mean, there's always so many things, but last thing, Neptune's going retrograde the same day that Mercury's cazimi with the sun on June 30th. So we round out the month, right? Lots of retrograde planets happening. Neptune going retrograde and Mercury meeting with the sun, which is always this like special thing because Mercury is known for guiding us through the underworld, which is what happens when Mercury meets with the sun and we can't see, right? So any planet, when it's met with the sun, is considered in the underworld. And Mercury there is like a guide that helps us through that while Neptune goes retrograde. So we just have this like lots of watery energy around that Neptune going retrograde is a way to just kind of keep finding more of ourselves through our hearts, right? Neptune in Pisces to me is so much about finding our spiritual connection, our connection to ourselves, like through our hearts, through like going inward is where we find like our inner compass and the clarity that is the gift of Neptune. Okay, ocean pine, I'll throw out for Neptune going retrograde in Pisces, right? Big, strong tree that like grounds us into the earth, but grows by the ocean and the water aspect of things. All right. So wishing you well for June, and hope all goes well. All right. Thanks. Happy full moon coming soon.